Hello and welcome to December's Piney News Update. And in these monthly Piney News Updates, I will bring you all the environmental stories, as well as some stuff with public transit. First, I want to get started. Let's get the good news. The good news or bad news? What do you want first? Oh, I want to hear the good news first. And then we'll have to deal with the bad news. The first thing I want to talk about is some good news. The Community Preservation Fund out east, the East End towns, that would be Riverhead, Southold, Southampton, and East Hampton, has been approved. All right, so it has been extended now till 2050. The voters approved that, and that's good. So we can, hopefully preserve more land out east. That's what we need to be doing. To protect our Pine Barrens, to protect our ecosystem and all that stuff, and protect the, quality of life out east as well. The other good news is that the Suffolk County Ways and Means Committee has just approved the Yaphank Master Plan. And basically, it is a master plan to deal with the county land in Yaphank. The county owns a lot of surplus land in Yaphank around the county offices. And so what they are doing is they are going to be preserving 197 acres of this wood. So most of it will be preserved, but a small amount will be developed, probably the more disturbed areas of the site. It's not all pristine, but the pristine areas will be preserved, and I think it's excellent news. Excellent news for Yaphank, excellent news for the Pine Barrens. This will be preserved now. This goes before the Suffolk County Legislature. There are people out there that want a racetrack there. Hello, it's pristine woodlands, all right? There are plenty of other places to put racetracks. You don't put them in pristine woodlands, all right? That's the bottom line. And those are Pine Barrens over there. And it's in the Carmans River watershed. And the Carmans River is actually one of the national wild and scenic rivers, and a very important river and a very important ecosystem in the Long Island Pine Barrens. So I'm glad to see that this preservation is now one step closer to happening. Now I guess we get to the bad news. It was only two good news stories I have for you there. As far as the environment goes. Riverhead now claims, and this is why I've been against the development at EPCAL now for so long, and Riverhead now claims that the sale of the EPCAL land will only help the town break even, because the town is in debt right now. It will only help the town break even. So think about it, all right? They're not going, this isn't even going to benefit the people in Riverhead to sell this land. At this point, I think, and I said that the last plan was a lot better than the other plans in regards to preserving the land, but at this point, I mean, you drive down Route 25 and you see all these beautiful grasslands and all these beautiful forests. I think at this point, every bit of the EPCAL property that is in the undeveloped state, whether it be a field or woodlands, should be preserved as open space. All right, it's not even going, because it costs the town to develop the land, because the town will have to pay to put in the sewers, all the utilities, all that stuff. Again, this is why development is actually costs more than preservation. So at this point, I think the land should just be preserved at this point, with whatever disturbed areas that are in the industrial core area where the buildings already are, and where there's some vacant land where buildings once stood. That can be redeveloped, that's fine. But leave the forests alone, leave the fields alone. This whole thing with EPCAL is absolutely ridiculous. And I know there is a public hearing this month in December. And I'll put that link below. I don't think I'll be able to attend because they always hold these things at night, and unfortunately I can't get back home at that hour. So, but I really do think that it's a no-brainer. Let's preserve this land at EPCAL. I mean, that's the only option right now that makes sense. All right. So we get to this other story here of the EPA. Now, this is why, and the Democrats will say that Trump hates the environment because he wants to basically, I wouldn't say get rid of the EPA, but definitely scale it down. The EPA is supposed to protect the environment, but instead they've become a bureaucracy that protects polluters. And here's a classic example of that. The EPA has allowed, despite widespread opposition, they're allowing dredged spoils, when they do dredging, to be dumped in the Long Island Sound. Yeah, that's right. Long Island Sound, they're being dumped there because of the EPA is obviously somehow corrupt and is not looking out for the environment. All the EPA does is they actually squash businesses. They have a lot of regulations, but a lot of their regulations don't do damn to help the environment out. And, you know, this is a classic example of how the EPA is not helping the environment by allowing dredged material being dumped in the Long Island Sound. Yeah, that's unbelievable. That really is unbelievable. And the other federal thing here that's going on here is that a whale was stranded last week in Moriches Bay. And the whale, I mean, very little was done to help the whale. It was stranded on a sandbar. It was like it couldn't get out. It got stranded. And they couldn't get it out. It was like I don't know, it was like a sandbar, but it was like a shallow spot. And nobody really tried to get this whale out. And this whale was suffering day after day after day. And NOAA was on the scene, a federal National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration was there on the site, and they were stopping anyone from helping the whale. And so this whale was suffering for days and days and days, until it was finally decided, after all the suffering this whale had been through, to euthanize it. They didn't even try to save it by trying to tug it off the sandbar or anything like that. I know this is done before. It's not easy, but I know that the Riverhead Foundation and several other, natural resource agencies usually have means to help stranded whales, but nothing was done to help this whale, and people were watching day after day this poor thing suffering. And you know how I feel about whales. We shouldn't be killing whales. Whales are they are the people of the sea. I've talked about this a million times before. Intelligent creatures, been on this earth way longer than we have, and we should owe them a lot more respect than what we're giving them right now. The other thing having to do with our waters is that we've had yet another fish kill in the this time in the Shinnecock Canal in Hampton Bays. Another fish kill, huge amounts of fish. The news media says this is the natural occurrence, yet people have never seen this before. Basically what happened was you have these bait fish, a lot of them are bunker fish or whatever, I think they're called bunker fish. They're driven into this canal by predators that corner them there, and because there's so many fish there, there's oxygen starvation. But here's the thing, and I'll say this again, we are polluting our waters with all the development, and so there's more nitrogen in the water, which means the waterways can support less fish. So that's why we're seeing more of these fish kills. And the fish kill is now spread into the bay there, Shinnecock Bay, and it is people by Meadow Lane in Southampton, where a lot of rich people live, and they're not happy about the smell at all. Well, maybe you should change your lifestyle, because these people out in the Hamptons, they use a lot of water. They use a lot of fertilizer. They're the ones polluting the bay. And now they're starting to deal with the consequences of that pollution, which is fish kills. It's only going to get worse if you keep polluting the way you are. Something has to change with that. It really does. So we have that going on. And then when it comes to our weather, it was a ridiculously warm November. 2 degrees above normal, I think, in Central Park for the whole month, 2 whole degrees. Could be one of the warmest Novembers ever. This is part of global warming. The whole globe is warm. This is the warmest year on record. Climate change and global warming are a very real threat. And one thing I don't agree with the right on is they don't think that it's important. However, a lot of people on the left will blame the right for it, yet the people on the left have taken money from people like the Koch brothers. They're just as responsible for not doing enough for global warming as the people on the right. So we had a very warm November, ridiculously warm. At least we finally did get a lot of rain to put a dent in the drought the past couple of days. About 1 to 2 inches fell across the entire area, which is great. It's a substantial amount. It's still not enough to completely end the drought. We still need more precipitation. but we have a climate that's way out of whack. It's way too warm. You know, every year it gets warmer and warmer and warmer. If you don't see what's going on, I don't know what to tell you. All you got to do is look at the climate statistics. They don't lie. And that warmth has actually led to wildfires, and the drought has led to wildfires. And now it's kind of unusual. Usually wildfires happen in the spring and maybe the summer, but to have them in the fall is kind of unusual. And so they've been having these wildfires in the North Carolina forests, Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and now they've spread into Tennessee, and it's caused a lot of devastation there, a lot of devastation. And it's really unfortunate what's going on. And this is all part of climate change because they haven't had enough rain, because the climate systems that normally come and bring our regular weather patterns are completely out of whack. You know, we don't have, you know, there's expanding deserts and some areas get too much rain, other areas get not enough because the weather keeps getting stuck. I've talked about this before. You know, again, their lack of rain is due to the lack of storms that come down from Canada with the cold fronts to generate that rain. We don't have those storms. Instead, we get these ridges that constantly develop and last for so long and block all the precipitation from coming and all the cool air. So that's just part of what's going on. They've gotten the rain too, but they've still just struggled with these fires because that rain came with some really intense winds as well. Now, one more environmental note is I want you to take a look at this video here at landscapers. You know, I can't stand landscapers. I think that if you own your own home and you're able-bodied, you should be doing your own lawn and raking your own leaves, because these landscapers, they are terrible for our environment. You know, the blowers, all the equipment they use spew out so much pollution into the air. You have the noise pollution. And then you have just the complete disregard for the whole community and the roads and the people driving. Take a look at this. Unbelievable. Look at that. Look at that. Blowing it into the road with the cars. This is why I hate landscapers. So you see them just blowing leaves out onto the street. They blow them into the cars. They you know, most of these landscapers, they're not even here legally. So that's one of the problem right there, is that the landscaping has brought in so many illegal aliens here. So many are coming here to do these landscaping jobs. If people did their own lawn, they wouldn't be these jobs, these illegals. They wouldn't be here. But by not doing your own lawn, I mean, a lot of these are families with kids. Come on, have your kids do their chores and do the lawn, you know? I understand if you're elderly or you're not physically able to handle the work, you know, but if you are able-bodied people, you know, especially a family with kids that are able-bodied, they should be doing the lawn. What kind of values does that teach your kids? You know, just have a bunch of illegals do it for you. I mean, really. And without complete disregard for the whole community. I hate it. The noise, the pollution, everything. I think that all that stuff should be, you know, and if you do use landscapers, I think leaf blowers should be outlawed. They should have to use rakes. All right, that's the bottom line. Yeah, they'll have to work harder, but so be it. Leaf blowers are terrible, terrible for the environment. They produce so much noise, and they are just awful. So let's get to some public transportation news here. The Long Island Railroad's draft environmental impact statement for the third track mainline upgrade is complete. I'm going to go over that in a later video sometime later this month. But I figured I will tell you about it. I think it's a good step forward. I think this is an important project. They had some renderings there. It includes Westbury getting 2 new parking garages. So that would be, it could help, and you can only do anything but help, right? And the other thing is Westbury next year is going to be getting its bridge, the Long Island Railroad Bridge over Post Avenue, replaced with a bridge that's higher and more modern, so trucks don't keep hitting it. And also, there will be a hearings for fare hikes. We've got these public hearings going on here, right here. Let's see. The one on Long Island is on December 7th, Wednesday. The hearing begins at 5. Registration starts at 4 at the Long Island Hilton Grand Ballroom. I'm not opposed to the fare hike. I don't even know if I'm going to be there to film it. I think it's... you know, I think the only thing I do favor is that they should have reduced fares for the seniors in the morning, that they don't have right now. The reduced fare should be on it all day, and that there should be, I think the fare in the city, the one-way fare, generally the one-way subway and bus fare should go up to $3, and they should keep the discount. Because again, NICE could use the extra money with that. Oh, and that brings us to NICE Bus. NICE Bus remains pathetic. And, the situations could only get worse. I've already contacted NIFA, which is the Nassau Interim Finance Association, because I think that Nassau should sell the system to the MTA at this point. The county is unwilling or unable to fund it, and now our jerk, I told you in the last Piney News that our jerk Ed Mangano suggests cutting $3.8 million from the NICE Bus budget, which I don't know what would be left at that point. But it would result in significant reduction of service across the whole system. Think the MTA, what the MTA planned when the county wouldn't pay them enough. So, the county should just, let it go. Let the MTA run this thing. All right, MTA should run the buses. They already run the trains. The buses need to be treated just as the Long Island Railroad is treated, all right? It needs to be an MTA state agency. Nassau County should have nothing to do with it because Nassau County time and time again has shown that they don't care about bus riders. When they got rid of the MTA and brought in NICE, that was a perfect example of that. They don't care about bus riders. They're not willing to fund it properly. Then they have no business running it and owning it, and let the MTA run it. The MTA knows where the ridership is. They know where the routes that are successful are. They know how to operate a bus system. They know how to operate a train system. Let them do the job, all right? And at least they know how to maintain their stuff so it doesn't break down. And speaking of breakdowns, yeah, I saw another breakdown yesterday, so check it out. So it was another breakdown on there. Yeah, so it's no surprise because they don't maintain the buses. Of course, they're going to break down. They don't have the maintenance. The new drivers they hire don't get the training. That MTA puts their drivers through a very rigorous training to ensure that they can handle the job. NICE barely trains them at all, and as a result, you have drivers who make mistakes. They don't know what they're doing, and many of them wind up quitting anyway. So that is what's going on with that. You know how I feel about it already. MTA needs to come back. I know some of you don't agree with that, but I think MTA needs to come back. I think it's important. MTA can provide the better service, and at this point, the amount of money that the state is putting into this operation under NICE would bring MTA, and MTA should just run it already. All right, this is so stupid right now. Really is. I'm hoping that, and I've already been told by one driver, and this is just one driver who said that he has heard that once Mangano steps down, the wheels will be in motion to bring MTA back. I hope he is right. But the county, Nassau itself, faces a $36 million budget gap, and we don't know what the legislature is going to decide on that. NICE is also having hearings next week on Thursday, the 7th, or is that yeah, that's the 8th, I think. It's the 8th, right? It's the 8th. Yeah, it's the 8th. The NICE is having a hearing on the 8th at Nassau Legislature for cuts, next year. We don't know exactly what cuts. They're not being very specific. It finally did get put on the website, but we don't know exactly what cuts they're going to be doing. No specifics yet. We'll find out, I guess, at the meeting. I guess they want to kind of surprise everybody so we don't have a chance to react, because that's the way NICE thinks. I know how they roll. I know how they roll already. So I think that is it for this Piney News update. There will be a separate video where I discuss the situation in Westbury, which still remains very bleak. So take it easy, and if I should have another update, obviously, for you then. But hopefully it's a good month. Enjoy the holidays. Take it easy.